My apologies, the camera cut out there. So let's get right back to it. Yeah, this white is a very unique looking miniature. It stood out to me because of the decapitated head, sorry. So this undead creature has been brought back for a reason, and nothing will get in its way from its purpose. And so, hopefully the camera doesn't cut off on me again, but we'll stick with the smaller miniatures from this booster. And we're gonna have what looks to me to be a sprite, and that is the case. So this little fey creature has a very unique miniature as well. You can see that it's got the 4 wings, similar to pixie or some sort of, again, little fey creature. But it is holding here, it appears to be like a wood blade, perhaps made from like a splinter, if you imagine the size of it type of thing. But yeah, very cool, very interesting flying miniature. If your party's in any forest or anywhere close to the Feylands, you will encounter perhaps some sort of sprite or pixie-like creature, especially if you're intruding on the forest and doing anything to harm nature or things like that. So this is a invisible version of one of the NPCs that is available in this line. So this little dwarf's name is Craig Ungart. And from what I understand, he's part of a trio known as Hook, Line, and Sinker. Apparently this is a group that kind of got its upstart in its beginning during this giant uprising that has taken place during Storm King's Thunder. So this is a tactician, very smart, battle-ready dwarf. You can see that he has this oversized blade and very, you can almost tell with this invisible one, but very well-armored dwarf. If I'm able to get the actual miniature of him, it's a very good combo to have the invisible and the regular. I always thought this was a unique one just because of the mouthpiece of the armor kind of coming up and hiding his face, and of course the size of this blade that he's wielding is monstrous compared to his dwarven form. So very, very cool. I know the invisible miniatures in this line were one of the more ultra rares in terms of rarity. So it's always cool to add that. I'm not a big fan of utilizing the invisible miniatures too often, but perhaps you have a character within your party that fits this description and it has invisibility cast on him. You're able to plop it down, and your characters and yourself as a DM are able to keep track of that. I don't like it so much for having a creature that's against the characters having invisible mini, because not every party can separate player knowledge from character knowledge. So if you have the invisible miniature on the table, they may still randomly decide to attack that area. You know, just, I would rather not have it on the table. If it's invisible and it's unseen to the party, then I would rather have it unseen to the party completely. But anyways, the second large pull from this brick was a very cool fire giant. So my party has already completed the fire giant hall, the fire giant lair, but there is obviously still an opportunity to encounter some fire giants throughout the rest of the Sword Coast and during their adventures. This mighty foe is viewed as like the dwarven type of giant, if you ask me. They're very good at crafting armor and weapons, very, very well armored, and capable of causing a lot of damage. So this is one of the 2 options for the fire giants. I believe one's carrying a great axe or a maul. This one seems to have a mace of some sort. Again, the fire red hair with the crown, or at least a headpiece on it. Very different looking than the cloud giant that I originally opened. This long, tall, slender, has that caster look to him, whereas this fire giant is very well protected in his armor and ready for a battle. So, pretty great opens for the first 2 boosters. Let's see if I can continue this trend of getting a different giant for each booster. I believe a hill giant is one that I do not have painted. I do have an unpainted version. And yeah, I have a lot of frost giants. I have a couple of fire giant dreadnoughts, which are the dual shield wielding variants from Bolo's Guide. I do have a couple stone giants, and yeah, that is it actually. The Cloud Giant that I do have, again, is unpainted. Okay, so I had said that there was 2 different options for the Fire Giant, and this third booster contains, let me make sure I do this right, but yes, this contains the other version of the Fire Giant that was available. And you can see this one actually is wielding a flaming sword, and actually has a fire incantation or fire ball of some sort wielded within its other hand. So yeah, it is just the Fire Giant. So this was the variant. This is the 32B as far as the line is concerned, and this one is very, very cool, very unique. If I was using this, I would probably have him be the Fire Giant Lord that the party encounters, or has a possibility of encountering. These giant hands are all going to cause problems, eh? That's okay. So, look at this mighty foe that is now available to be dropped in front of my party. Not enough that this thing stands almost 20 feet tall, 18 feet tall or so, and is well armored and clearly heavy plate mail. But now he's wielding a Bushido blade, sort of a broad bastard sword, engulfed in flames. And if that wasn't fearsome enough, in its offhand, he's sparking the start of a fireball or perhaps firebolt. Either way, it's going to be a bad time for any small folk that enter its lair. So, I mean, clearly a more ferocious and formidable looking foe, but then he has this funky Fire Giant there as well. Very, very cool. I love the design on that. The flames coming off the blade, the higher back of the armor there that come up as like a neck piece. And to kind of fit into that same theme, we have an Azure. These are fire elementals from the elemental plane of fire. They almost look like dwarvish in nature, except their heads and beards are engulfed in flames. And you can see that their little weapon there as well has a little bit of a flame to it, a flame tongue. So shielded and armored very nicely. These are actually elementals from, like I said, the elemental plane of fire. So you may think that they're a regular humanoid, but they are actually not even from this realm. Or from this plane, I should say. So again, very, very cool. You will encounter those usually in forges and things like that, usually summoned by Fire Giants and other elemental adepts. So earlier I unboxed the invisible version of Craig Ungart, and here we have the regular Craig Ungart. So like I said, he's a member of Hook, Line, and Sinker, apparently a very formidable adventuring party that has chosen to start using their powers to cleanse the land of this giant uprising. They made a name for themselves, taking out these big hitters that have been causing problems for the cities and civilizations of Faerun and Sword Coast. So this oversized blade, you can see on this one a little bit better, the hooked end to it. So imagine this little dwarf wielding this great sword that's almost as long as him. The blade is literally as long as his body. So, you know, that's a very, very scary looking dwarf, if you ask me. And his details is he's a very good tactician as far as battle tactics and planning. So he uses the environment to his advantage and always looks for a way to get the upper hand on especially giants and things that are usually scarier to the smaller folk. Okay, so I did say that there's a wide range of creatures available in this line. So yes, they give you a lot of giant options, but they give you a lot of other options as well. And this is a yokel. So this is a handmaiden of the Lolth deity, the Spider Queen. A lot of the times when her followers reach out and speak with her or ask for her blessing, forgiveness, and guidance, usually they're answered by these ooze, like almost melted candlestick looking creatures from the abyss, the yokels. Any of you that are fans of the Drizzt novels would know that Menzo Branson, the city of the Dark Elves, in the Underdark, many of the handmaidens and the priestesses of Lolths would commune with these yokels, which are very scary creatures, even to the drow who follow Lolth. So again, it gives you the sense of the wide range that you have here. We have some wights, yuan-tis, hags. You have the Fey pixies, or sorry, the Fey sprites, the elemental azers. You have a very cool dwarf NPC, and now a very monstrous-looking thing from the abyss. That if your party is not wise enough to realize, it can be a very powerful and frightening creature to drop on the table in front of them. So this will be about halfway through right here. So this is the 4th booster opening up, and we'll see. Okay, so another option for one of the medium or large minis in these line was a Fomorian, I believe is what it is. So these are giant-like creatures. They look similar to a troll or cyclops. They almost have this hunchback appeal to them, or a hunchback design to them. You can see in this one, when I show you a little bit closer, it has this very bulbous eye, Fomorian. So you can see the face on this. It has one like bulging eye, one smaller one, hunchback. Seems very grotesque, unnatural, wielding this club. Not well armored, but usually things that are bigger and slower are easy to hit, but they usually have a sack of hit points. I'm a little lacking on the lore and the origins of these Fomorians, but I imagine that they can be found with the likes of the hill giants and trolls and things like that, probably getting pushed around by some of these more intelligent giants. But again, nice range. No doubles yet. Interesting creatures to throw in my party. Okay, so again, just crazy range here. So the Githzerai monk. So the Gith are extra planar, extra dimensional travelers. Usually they're fighting, if I'm not mistaken, the Illithids and things like that. So this is a monk actually, and there is an option for PCs to create their characters using the Giths as a race. So this would be an option for a player character being a Gith monk, or as an interesting NPC for your party to run into, whether they're on this material plane or in some sort of other plane. Extra planar travel is one of a tool that a DM can use to be able to change things up and get them out of the familiar zones and introduce them to some different characters and creatures. So again, wide range, wide variety here to throw at your party. Okay, so this is another member of Hook, Line, and Sinker. So this is Kazi Elphalandra. So you can see here that this wood elf has this oversized bow, and apparently this has been used many a times over the last few months of this giant uprising to slay the giant kind. It is built specifically for hunting down larger creatures and in this case hunting down some giants to take care of. So again, very cool NPCs that they've added into this story. As far as the campaign is concerned, I didn't come across the Hook, Line, Sinker or any of these other NPCs that they have put in this line of miniatures, but it just adds to the idea that there's a lot more going on throughout the Sword Coast and throughout Faerun. It's not just your party. You're not the only heroes around. There are other good aligned creatures and people that are trying to right the wrong and kind of stabilize the countryside. So yes, there's giants uprising and destroying a lot of the civilizations and battling in the open a lot more, causing a lot more destruction throughout Faerun and the Sword Coast. But because there's a lot more evil rising up, there's also a lot more good. So these are just a few of the good NPCs that your party could come across or that you could hear about on your travels. Okay, so this is a great ad as well. This is a Hellhound. So a lot of the times in the Fire Giants layers and their holds, they will utilize hellhounds, and up to this point, I've only been using wolf's miniatures, death dogs, things like that to represent them. Now I actually finally have a hellhound. So if you ever want to drag your party or one of your party members back to hell, you can stick a hellhound on them, and any supernatural fans would realize that they can do a lot of damage. So that's about the halfway point. 4 more to go. Let's hope that we get another, I don't know, I'm still hoping for a hill giant. And of course, if I had to pick one that I would get out of all this, it would probably be the King Hecaton miniature. Storm giants are not easy to find. And he plays a major role in the campaign, being that he is on the front cover, and a lot of the things that happen spin out from King Hecaton himself. So, you know, being at top of the giant ordning, the storm giants rule the rest and kind of keep them in line, and they rule from a place below the sea, Maelstrom. And yeah, so King Hecaton is a powerful giant and is well known throughout the D&D lore. So to be able to represent him with an actual miniature would be awesome. Now, that is not what I got for this booster. That's okay. This one is a winter wolf. So I had mentioned that the hellhounds are usually the favorite pets of the fire giants. Well, the winter wolf, if I had to choose a giant to align them with, would obviously be the frost giants. So the frost giants are ravagers of the north. They pillage towns. They go up and down the Sword Coast using their large ships to kind of assault the coast and the outlying towns. And a lot of times they have these winter wolves as their companions to help kind of corral the smaller folk, and you know, why bloody their blades when they can send their wolf to hunt down those that are cowardly enough to run away. Okay, so here's a Kenku. At the time of this release, I don't know if they were a playable character, but as of now, they are an option for PCs to make a race, or to use as their race. Kenkus are very interesting. They're mimic style of cries, so they can actually repeat any noise that they've heard, and it would sound identical. So they're tricksters in a way. They can be used as great rogues, things like that. But either way, this is just a regular Kenku. You can see it's like a crow-like humanoid being, because it's bipedal at least. But yeah, beak, furry little arms, or feathery little arms. So, cool miniature. Again, option as a PC or an NPC. It's always nice to be able to represent each race or each class with a different miniature. So this is actually just a bandit captain, but this is a very cool and unique looking one. I have other bandits and things like that, but this is a unique looking model. It looks like he has a little dagger in his one hand, and his fist is kind of going forward, either grabbing or punching. Either way, this is at least a unique looking miniature that you can fill out your town with. If you want him to stand out from the average group of bandits that your party's battling with or encountering, then this is a very cool one. He's got this red bandana that kind of wraps up his hair. And yeah, they never really skimp on the detail. They have lots of ridges in the clothing here. Yeah, so I mean, not anything exciting as far as just being a human bandit captain, but very unique miniature. I love the design to it, and definitely makes him stand out. So, let's see here. Oh, and homunculus. So, this is a very cool. It can be used as a familiar, if I'm not mistaken, for the wizarding class, and this is the homunculus. These are intelligent creatures. If used with the proper combination, I believe it's linked mind or something along those lines. Either way, you can link your mind with this intelligent creature and have him kind of do research or do your bidding. Not necessarily in a range to you, but so if utilized correctly with interesting and smart player, these things can be a useful tool for a party. And of course, if you have Castor as your big bad, he may have a homunculus friend that's kind of helping him out, doing his bidding. So, I'm loving the range here. Not a single double yet, unless you count the invisible one as being a double, but I'm still happy to get one of those. And even the fire giants here, yes, there's 2 fire giants, but they're 2 different models, and one looks absolutely amazing. So, I'm thrilled with what we got so far. And here we go. So I mentioned that we had a lot of frost giants in my collection already, but that never means that I'm upset when I get a new model, because the frost giants that I have, there's a few of them that are the exact same models that are holding different weapons, and then there's another one from an older line of miniatures that is a slightly different one. And then now here's a third frost giant model. So I mean, not that many characters or DMs care about repetitiveness in miniatures, because if you have 5 frost giants and you have 5 frost giants represented on the table, then that's all that really matters. But if you want to have a nice variety to show that each one is different, and maybe you want to keep track of ones that have certain names, certain abilities, well, now you have a few different options. And I mean, this one stands out to me. I love the shoulder pads here with the, it appears to me to be, yeah, dragon skulls adorning his shoulder pads, and a dragon skull on the top as well as his helmet. So this is an absolutely beautiful miniature. That blade that it's wielding is almost seems like it has a sharp edge to it. Nice wide blade, and just to give you an idea of the difference. So here's this one, and here's one of the other ones of the frost giant that I have. So I mean, this guy is clearly the leader. This would be my frost giant Jarl if I had to choose one. His long hair in the back, even uniquely colored hair, but definitely the shoulder pads with the draconic skulls on it, and the helmet there with the horns coming out. That is an awesome miniature. So they really did a cool design to make him different from the other ones. So I'm happy with that. That's awesome. So you can see that they really took their time and made sure that the giants that were coming in this line were very unique looking and very formidable, because the different giant lords can play a huge integral part in this Storm King's Thunder campaign. And there's a variety of options for your characters to run into, and now you have a variety of options to throw down in front of them depending on where they go. So first double of the day, it's the Craig Ungart. But again, that's not too bad. Dwarves are a very common race throughout Faerun and throughout the Sword Coast, especially now with Gauntlgrim being up and running once more. There's going to be endless amount of dwarves that your parties encounter. So just to have a background character in the streets or in the dungeons, in the depths and the mines, who cares if they look the same? You have one to represent the dwarf, and that's great. And here is the second double of the day, but this is a Hellhound. So again, you're not going to just have one Hellhound running at your party. You're probably going to have a couple. They travel in a pack, and now we got 2 of them to throw at them. Okay, so here's the other Yuan-Ti Pureblood. So if I'm not mistaken, the first one that I had pulled was carrying a bow and arrow. So we're carrying a bow. This one's carrying what seems to be a scimitar or some sort of sword. So yeah, different colors, different weapons, same creature, but that is awesome. So I wouldn't even count that as a double. Okay. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. We're down to our final 2 boosters here. So I will say, as far as the campaigns that I've started to run and read through and things like that, Storm King's Thunder is an amazing campaign. It's very sandboxy. The options that your characters have to choose from play a huge part on what happens and where they go and what stories actually unfold. So chapter 3 of this campaign is more of a source book if you ask me, than anything. It gives you encounters, information, inhabitants of endless cities and towns and civilizations throughout the north, throughout the Sword Coast. It gives you so much information, so much intel, and you can use a fraction of these encounters in one campaign of Storm Kings. So if you were to run this 3, 4, 5, 6 times, I think you would have a different campaign each time, of course, but also many different encounters that your party wouldn't necessarily have gone through the first time, or your first party wouldn't have gone through, but your second or third may encounter, or you may pull those from this campaign and put them into your Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, or into your Tyranny of Dragon campaign. It's just an amazing amount of information in Chapter 3. Okay, so for my second last large pull, I do get to add the Hill Giant that I was hoping for. So this is the same model that I have unpainted. But of course, if you're not artistic, because I am not, and if you don't have the time, because I do not, to paint your own miniatures, then this is what you're looking for. They're pre-painted. They come with such good quality paints that, and this is hefty, by the way. But for me to take the time to paint mine, it wouldn't necessarily take too much hours, too many days, whatever it is. But I just don't have the time or the patience to sit down every night and paint. So that's why a few of my unpainted miniatures that I do have will be forever unpainted. Just not enough time in the day. My free time goes towards prepping and playing D&D rather than painting. Maybe one day, but for now I will appreciate and enjoy when I get my pre-painted ones that I'm looking for. So the Hill Giants are the lowly bottom of the ordering. They're dim-witted, they're easy to manipulate, and they're single-minded. They're basically looking to eat and get big. But this still makes a pretty cool miniature. It has this big knapsack that's full of probably junk food, maybe corpses of people he's knocked out, and you know, things that he's taken from nearby towns and settlements. But you can just see the folds of the fat, the blubbery arms here. It's wielding a very crude spear made from, looks like stone and wood. You know, it's a perfect representation of the Hill Giants. So, nice range. And let's see the last couple out of here. Okay, here's another double then. So this Kenku is wielding, so it's not a double. So this Kenku is wielding a little short sword. The original one I opened was a bow. So again, whether it's a PC option, because the Yuan-Ti, which is the other variant that I got, are now an option for playable characters, as well as the Kenku. So you now have an option for whether they're doing range attacks, close range attacks, whatever it is. Variety and options is the name of the game here. Otherwise I wouldn't be buying so many miniatures. Okay, so here's another one of the NPCs that was introduced in this line of miniatures that I never really found within the Storm King campaign. But if you ask me, this is a very cool looking one. Laiantolio. So Laiantolio is apparently some sort of contraption, like a mechanical contraption expert. So he apparently builds little mechanical traps, and looks like maybe upgrades his armor. Even the chain that he has in his hand here seems to be a double-ended like grapnel hook. But either way, the little write-up on him basically said that he was an expert tinkerer, maker of contraptions and traps and things like that. And I mean, it's very unique miniature. He's got this cage over his head here, and I'm not too sure the purpose of it. Like, it's a rollover cage or something like that. But either way, if you want to drop a miniature on the table that's going to be memorable and it's going to have your characters or your players questioning what the heck this guy's up to, this is definitely one that will do that. So, yeah. Very cool miniature. Definitely a unique one. Okay. So there was the Bandit Captain earlier. This is just the Bandit. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they have a very similar pose to them. Slightly different, tone of skin, of course, and different weapon being wielded. different hairstyle, everything like that. So very cool, very interesting way that you can see that they obviously reused a similar design or model, but they've made it unique and changed it with skin tone and weapon choice, as well as a little bit of attire. The other one has like this head wrap. This one just has ponytail pulled back. But yeah, very cool. Just a human, NPC, player character, whatever you want to do. And so, for the final booster of this brick, I have had pretty good luck in the past with my unboxing videos, where the final pulls are kind of the best ones. So let's see if we can get my Hecaton, or perhaps Harshnag, Frost Giant, member of the Grey Force, sorry. Let's see, perhaps Immel. Okay, well, I'm continuing my streak of saving the best for last. Because here he is in all of his glory, King of the Storm Giants, leader of all giant kind, King Hecaton himself. So, no spoilers in my unboxings, so I can't get into too much detail about what is happening with King Hecaton throughout the campaign, but I will say he will play an integral role in the campaign if you're going to run it, which is a pretty obvious thing for me to say, as he is on the front cover, like I had mentioned. Him and his daughters are on the front cover. A lot of the intrigue and mystery behind this campaign revolves around the court of King Hecaton, the Storm Giant King. Ooh, and man, is that a heavy miniature. Very much befitting his status amongst giants, and yeah, it definitely, sorry about that. Oh yeah, so it definitely does the job of displaying his power, if you ask me. The weight to it, his stance here, you can see he has very much royal garbs on here. Look at that mighty beard and the crown sitting on his head. His sword here, I'm not too sure what weapon he wields exactly. It appears to be some sort of mace that has a magical, I don't know, some sort of magical property bellowing out from it. So I'm not too sure what he's actually wielding there. Perhaps I'll have to do a little bit of research and figure out if that's a unique weapon to him. It could be the scepter that is needed to sit upon his throne, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I can say that the gold kneecap and belt and shoulder pad here are very well painted, very well detailed, intricate design to the bracers. Yeah, very, very awesome looking miniature. I wish I could go into more detail about the happenings of King Hecaton, the whereabouts, what he's up to, what's going on, but if you're interested at all in the ancient wars of giants and dragons, and your party may like traveling far and meeting new people and a wide variety of places, Storm King's Thunder is definitely the campaign that you'd want to run. There's so much lore and so much ancient history that is taken into account during this campaign. Old rivalries, very, very powerful foes, very, very powerful beings that are involved in this story. So if you have a party, like I said, that really likes high stakes, really wants to feel like there's a lot more going on, that they're not always the top of the food chain, top of the ladder, Storm King's Thunder really puts them into the larger world and has them interact with these very well-known creatures and very well-known recognizable characters from the D&D lore. So if you seem to think that your party is always knocking down everything that you put in their way, and they're breezing past a lot of the encounters, Storm King's Thunder really, really introduces a lot of encounters that are more sneak or run away, know when to quit, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. But yeah, the creatures that they encounter are definitely powerful, and not many more powerful than King Hekaton himself. So perfect. I'm thrilled. I know we still have a couple more smaller miniatures to unbox here, but that is exactly what I was looking for here. My party is not far away from perhaps encountering the Storm King himself. This is another very, very unique creature that was available in this line, the 3 Kreen. They're apparently desert warriors, so I assume they're far to the east in this campaign. My party hasn't necessarily made it that way, so I haven't had to use these creatures yet, but you can see the amazing design, the amazing detail of this insectoid style creature. If any of you have ever seen the Planet Hulk animated movie or have read the comic books Planet Hulk, you would almost recognize this as Meek. So, you know, they have the insectoid style humanoid bipedal creature here. So he's got 4 arms. It looks like he's wielding 3 weapons, 1 spear and 2 little short, vicious looking swords. The antennae curled back there. Even the design of the legs, the way they bend, not humanoid I should say, but like, you know, bipedal. Very, very unique, interesting creature. As far as their background lore too, I'm not 100% on, but I do know that they're desert warriors and are usually found out that way. So, 2 more here. And here's another, yeah. So this is, actually it's not gonna be a double because once again, same creature in the sprite, but it's actually holding a bow in this hand, whereas the original one that I had opened was holding a little short sword. So again, a little cool looking fey creature. I always like the ones that are in flight. They give you that stand that they have lifting them off the ground. And let me just find the final. There we go. So let's see what the final pull is from this amazing brick so far. And my brother will be very happy because this is a giant frog. And I know it sounds like a weird thing, but he has a lot of characters, or at least friends of his characters, monks from his monastery that are based on Naruto characters. And I believe Kakashi, or one of the characters, I'm not familiar with the show, but my brother is a giant frog or has a giant toad along those lines. Either way, I know he was looking forward to this miniature, and we have a wide range of creatures, lions, bears, wolves, things like that. So if we can add a giant frog, why not? Anyways, we have a miniature for every situation now. I have got my King of the Storm Giants. Come on, there he is right there, and here he is right here. How can I be disappointed? So, if you're as lucky as I am and you get an opportunity to run this amazing campaign, I would suggest buying a brick of the Storm King's Thunder, Icons of the Realms, because you will get what you need. You may not necessarily get the King Hekaton miniature like I was lucky enough to receive, but you'll get your wide range of giants that you're bound to run into, and you'll also get a diverse range of miniatures, races, creatures, different classes that you're able to use throughout this campaign, of course, and many other campaigns that are set in Faerun, and many of the other realms as well. So I want to just thank you for joining me here today, and make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel, and that way you will be the first to know when my next video is up. Okay, thanks again, and you have yourself a great day.